That's what I will. No, if you and I follow what God is and shows him all things, seeing is the tip of the iceberg. Because the Father is going to show the Son what? Greater things that he is doing. Greater things that the Father is doing. There are still greater things. I cannot rest until I can. Every day I must know greater things that the Father is doing, so that I can enter fully. And then the knowledge of God you had yesterday is still the same one you have today. You are still working on about God and his ways. Sensitivity to God and his ways. Okay? His love. They know about his love, but they don't really, they know about his love, but they don't really know his love. Really know his love. And he said the way to know God's love. The way to know God's love, you'll be amazed when you now hear people in similar situations and what has happened to them. And that's why you see what? Oh yes, absolutely. You enter into a revelation of divine. Absolutely, you enter into a revelation of divine love, and enter fully into everything that God is doing, so that you have not understood divine forgiveness. Then you have no knowledge of your wretchedness. When you understand divine forgiveness, it's because you know how horrible you are. One of the greatest things that can come to you as a believer is to stop and think about the thoughts of where? Your heart. The thoughts that flash through your heart. Stop and catch yourself thinking. And see all the evil. See all the evil thoughts that pass your heart. And some of them, you allow them to even dwell. Particularly if somebody annoys you, and then the next time you talk to me, you need to be careful. Something worse will. When you have a revelation of divine forgiveness, it's because you know that in spite of all these horrible thoughts, that when you must be wonderful. Dealing with someone, I'm not bold. That when you see, they say courage is not the absence. Thing you said about Oboni people. You see, it's when you know the word. We want to learn the simplicity of very, very complicated. Did they have diarrhea?